All right, let's have an instant reaction to what we all just witnessed. The Colts in overtime escaping what was like an ugly accident on a freeway, smoldering smoke and awful. Except you didn't even want to crane your neck to look at it. It didn't slow traffic. People just drove by. They didn't want to look at this thing. That was really atrocious. So generally in football, there is a way out of most of your problems. This is going to be a lot of finger pointing. I don't think Nathaniel Hackett is a head coach. Even the special teams at the end of the half, where there was like 5 seconds left in the half, the ball was kicked 7 yards deep and somebody brought it out. You wouldn't see that with the Patriots. Like, what are you doing? I mean, that's just lack of discipline, a lack of coaching. Their special teams in Denver are bad. And you can get rid of Nathaniel Hackett. You can, after the year, get rid of him. That's the easy one. I mean, that's what teams like the Giants do with Ben McAdoo, Cleveland, Freddie Kitchens, Steve Wilkes in Arizona. You can move off a coach pretty quickly. Wilkes got 1 year. That is solvable. Denver's got some really good players at all levels. What is not really solvable is Russell Wilson. That's a huge contract. So over the course of the night, listen, we know what washed looks like. Remember Big Ben about a year ago rolled out and just fell over? That's washed. Baker Mayfield looks washed. Cam Newton in New England at the end of that year. Accuracy. Jay Cutler, Peyton Manning in Denver his final year. Like, we can see what washed is. Russell Wilson scrambled a couple times in the first half. He looked athletic. His velocity is good enough. But the one thing with Russell Wilson that even I can't deny is that he was known, I think, beyond his ability to make people miss and move around in the pocket. His second pitch was always he threw the softest, prettiest, most accurate deep ball in the league. It was a raindrop. And he was just sort of understood that's what he did as well as anybody, and some thought ever. Just that rainbow over the defense. That is no longer a great element to his game. He can still move. We saw it in the first half. We've seen it 5 or 6 times this year. He can still move. He still has decent speed. I think he has his fastball. I don't see his velocity. Matt Ryan looks like he's lost about 7 miles an hour off his fastball. But Russell's deep ball, which was really, he could throw for a strike anywhere on the field. It's bad. He had the worst interception that I can recall in his career at one point on a deep ball. And then that interception in the end zone, he just threw it too late. So there are elements to his game that remain. He doesn't look like Big Ben the last 2 years, where Ben literally couldn't move, fell down rolling out. He doesn't look as physically incapable as Peyton Manning's last year or like Baker Mayfield right now. That's not what I see. But his inability to drop that deep ball in was such a part of his game, and it's not there. Now, people age differently. LeBron has aged wonderfully. Carmelo Anthony and Westbrook have not. Brady has aged wonderfully. Aaron Rodgers has aged very well. He's late 30s. And there's a lot of different reasons. Matt Ryan isn't aging well. Is it plyometrics? How do you take care of your body? Some of it's just genetics. Some guys are just built to compete longer. Brady's obviously been obsessed with nutrition, working out, and off seasons. But Russell Wilson's inability to hit on that deep ball when you have Jerry Jeudy, who's a burner, is a real problem. It's not an element of Denver's offense. And then with Hackett, you have what I consider to be a suboptimal creator of offense. He's not a play designer like Andy Reid. I will give Nathaniel Hackett credit for this. On that big drive late in regulation, 4th down and 2, he went for it. I would have done the same. He went for it. He knew it was an ugly night. We're at home. We're going to go for it. And in overtime, 4th and 1, he went for it. I'll give Nathaniel Hackett credit for that. There was no indecision, no pause. In both instances, he was trying to win the game. That's what you should do when you have a playmaker at quarterback and you're at home and you're facing an average team. So Hackett gets credit for that. I still don't think they run enough motion. They don't have enough variance in their sets. They're not multiple enough. They're kind of predictable. They don't roll the pocket out, ever, for Russell Wilson. They never roll the pocket out. It's just uncreative. It's lacking in juice or energy. They don't put Russell Wilson in great situations to succeed. But I don't think Russell's washed, but he has lost his number 2 pitch. He's lost it. He just, can you regain it? I also think the offensive line for Denver, and Mitchell Schwartz on social media, Twitter, mentioned this. I mean, he's been there like 5-6 months. The offensive line, the cadence with Russell Wilson doesn't feel great. It just, things aren't clicking. They're not hitting. Matt Stafford's first game with Sean McVay. Remember that against the Bears? Good defense? Was outstanding. But then again, Tom Brady in Tampa. He had an awful Thursday night game against the Bears in Chicago. It took him until week 14 or 15 to get it going with an offensive coach, Bruce Arians. So Stafford and McVay clicked immediately. By the way, Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo. Remember that first year he came? His first 5 starts, 5-0. This thing is a work in progress. I have great reservations about Hackett going forward. But some of it has to go on Russ. Those were 2 of his worst interceptions. He's still mobile, but they don't roll the pocket. He still has a fastball. You could see that in a couple of his sideline throws. He gets rid of it quickly. But you take away that raindrop deep ball, and he's not the same quarterback. So, of course, you add to this that Geno Smith is like 2nd or 3rd in the NFL in quarterback rating. John Snyder, the GM of the Seahawks, and Pete Carroll, the head coach, you and I know they were texting each other tonight watching this. You know it, and I know it. Pete Carroll and John Snyder were on the phone texting tonight. And those were laughing emojis because this was a standalone game and incredibly ugly. And for those, listen, for those people who think Russell Wilson is washed, you win tonight. Now, can it become Brady and Arians in week 12 or 13? I don't know. I don't have high hopes. I don't think Nathaniel Hackett's Arians. I don't think Russell Wilson is Brady. Listen, a lot of times in the NFL, you can cut people. The answers are quick. But that Russell Wilson contract with those new owners, you can't get out of that thing. I mean, you cannot get out of that contract. You can get out of Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, you could fire him today. Just give it to a coordinator. But, I mean, when they took those shots of John Elway and George Payton, the GM of the Broncos, who I think is really sharp, I mean, you saw the look on his face. It was not anger. It was despair. It was not anger for a bad moment. It was, how are we going to get out of this? All right. I'm going to go to bed. I'm not saying I'm going to sleep well. I said this tonight on social media. I may lead with hockey tomorrow.